versus being like, hold on a second, you back off a little bit here and kind of get back to grounded, if you will.
Yeah. Well, in terms of creativity, I feel like, at least for me, I do it when I need it, you know. Art started as therapy for me, and especially the band was it was definitely for me art therapy, you know. But what happens is, you know, you hit a point kind of early on where you start to realize that by going to that dark place, you end up with some of your most powerful material, you know. But one of the dangerous things, I think, for artists is to kind of get caught in this trap that you need to be completely upset and miserable and depressed and all these bad feelings. You need that in order to create art. And it took me a really long time to both realize that I didn't need all that to create art, and that I would enjoy the things that I made more when I was more stable, you know.
One of the things that you're talking about now, is again that idea of stability and making art and not being able to tour, right? Is your music is still connecting with people, and as you and I spoke ahead of time, Umbrella Academy is certainly connecting at my house. And how do you interact with technology now with that same thing in mind? Like,
yeah,
I want to connect with people, but sometimes it can get too much.
I don't interact with technology much at all, you know. I left Twitter about like 5 years ago, and it was really to benefit my mental health. Like, my mental health improved dramatically after I stopped using it, you know. I have all kinds of thoughts on technology and things like that. So I have an Instagram and I'll occasionally use that. But basically the way I started to look at things like Twitter was basically all these corporations, and it probably applies to Facebook and all that other stuff too, basically social media and all that. Like, the corporations need engagement. I mean, that's what it's about, you know. And I started to realize that conflict was a really lucrative form of engagement for these corporations, you know, which is why they spent so many years not doing anything about harassment and things like that. And beyond harassment, why they stopped doing anything, why they weren't doing anything about, let's say, like neo-Nazis or people like that. So, so I realized that it's kind of a game, and basically they need this conflict. The conflict is what drives it. Much like the news and the media, they need you to be afraid, because that kind of generates them the most engagement. And it's all about engagement and content. And once you realize that, you know, conflict is that engagement and it is the actual content, then I don't see a point in using it, you know.
Gerard, that's such an interesting point. I actually want to take the opportunity to introduce Julian Baker. Julian's music is so passionate and feels like an open invitation into a conversation about our hopes, our dreams, our struggles. And Julie and I had a chance to talk on the Going There podcast. She's such a fierce and strong mental health advocate, and I'm absolutely thrilled to get a chance to talk with her again. Julian, I'm curious your thoughts on what Gerard said.
Sure, yeah, no, I mean, I would be, it's very interesting to hear both of y'all's thoughts on technology specifically in the internet, and I think it's been a very challenging time for me personally because, like you were mentioning, Gerard, I share similar skepticism and disillusionment about the corporations who have constructed the platforms like Twitter, Facebook. I'm not personally on Facebook, but there's I have artist pages on those platforms, and it's kind of, I don't know, there is a certain feeling of needing to participate in those arenas of discussion out of duress almost, and I don't like that, and that's why I've tried to distance myself, whether that be unfortunately, I hate this, but relegating the responsibilities of promoting my music on those platforms to other people. But then I'm like, the reason why I haven't fully committed to unplugging from Twitter is because I